Let's take a look at the tools we'll need to use whenever you need to perform a motion tracking. Now, motion tracking is when you have footage and you want something to follow something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where the tools live and what they do. So to follow along, you're going to open up the files that I have provided for you in the Work Files folder. Let's go ahead and import those. I'm going to go to my desktop, and the files that we're going to bring in, one is a movie that I shot with my iPhone called Meteor on a Sheet. This is literally a rock that I put on a sheet, and I made sure to move the camera around quite a bit. Because in this section, not only are we going to track something to this rock, we're also going to stabilize it so that when we scrub, the rock stays put. So we're going to cover that in a minute. The other piece of footage I want you to bring in is the lander. This is the little rocket thing that's going to land on our meteor, and it's going to track and stay stuck to it as we scrub the timeline. As you can see right now, it's not really staying there, so that's what we're going to be doing in the next part. So now that we have our footage in place, let's go ahead and open up the tracker tools. Let's head to the window menu, and we're going to go to tracker. As usual, I'm going to tear off the tracker panel, and I'm going to dock it right here, and I'll resize the interface so we can really focus on these tools. Now what we have here are a track motion button and a stabilize motion button. The difference is, with track motion, your objective is typically to have something stick to and follow something else. So if you want to have a rocket ship take off and you have some smoke particles, the particles will stay attached to the thrusters as the rocket lifts off. Stabilize is great when you have very shaky footage. So let's say you have this rock, for example, or you are taking video from the passenger side of a car and you want to take out some of the shakiness. Like, let's say, for example, you go to a theme park and you go to Safari. The camera's moving a little bit too much and you just want to slow it down and just make sure it's a little bit more even the view. So that's the difference between these two guys here. We also have to choose something called a motion source. That's typically going to be our movie. The current track, we have none right now, but we'll talk about that in a second. The track type currently is stabilized, but we're going to change that. We can also track different things like position, rotation, and scale. So if the object you're trying to track is rotating and is getting larger and smaller, you can also choose to track those. The target is typically going to be something like this, or text, or anything that you want to follow the other thing, which is going to be our source. Then we have our analyze buttons. It has to analyze the position of the tracker, and then once it makes sure it locks on to the source, you can then apply that data to the object that's supposed to follow it. So let's go ahead and actually click on the footage of the movie, the Meteor movie, and if you're having a difficult time clicking it here, simply select it in your timeline, and then click right here on the track motion button. Once again, if you don't see this button illuminated, that means that the footage is not selected, like so. So choose your footage, and then click track motion. Now these guys are the star of the show. These are our track points. The outer box is our search box, and this guy here is the feature box. The feature box is what you want to latch on to something that's prominent, something that has contrast, so that this box can stay locked onto it. The outer box's task is to make sure this box does what you tell it to do. So what we can do to move this guy is simply click on one of the solid lines here, and you can move that whole box. You'll notice that when we do it, we're given a magnification, and we can really study our footage and try to pick a good region. Now, as you can see here, this is horrible. There's no contrast here, so the tracker would have an extremely difficult time locking on. So as you can see here, we have a very light part, and this very dark part also followed by lighter parts. This makes a very ideal tracking point. So I'm going to choose that. I'll click on my tracking box, and I'll move it until I find that. And this is exactly what this little box is looking at. So it's going to try to stay onto this region as the footage plays back. So as you can see here, it's not doing it yet, but we're going to do that in the next part. Now that we know all the parts to how to track, let's go ahead and actually apply this in the next lesson.